Most women think men's nipples don't matter in intimacy. They assume it's only a female pleasure zone, something that's nice for her but irrelevant for him. But let me tell you a secret that most men will never admit out loud. The nipples are one of the most overlooked, underrated, and electrifying male pleasure spots. If you learn how to play with them the right way, you can unlock sensations in him he never expected. And more importantly, you'll create an experience he will never forget. When you touch a man in ways that surprise him, that awaken new nerve endings, you suddenly become unforgettable in his mind. And isn't that what you want? To be the woman who doesn't just give him what he already knows, but the woman who introduces him to new heights of pleasure? That's how you become the fantasy he keeps replaying long after the night is over. Now, why do most women ignore this area? Because they've been conditioned to think that men are only about one thing, their joystick. We're told that men are simple, that if you touch, stroke, or play with that one spot, you've done your job. But here's the truth: men are wired with pleasure zones all over their bodies, and the nipples are directly connected to arousal pathways in the brain. In fact, research shows that stimulating male nipples activates the same part of the brain that lights up when the joystick is touched. That means you're not just teasing him, you're doubling his arousal, feeding his senses from multiple angles. And when you know how to combine that with emotional teasing, with eye contact, with your voice, suddenly you're not just touching his body, you're taking control of his entire nervous system. But here's the fascinating part: most men won't tell you they want this. They won't say, "Touch my nipples." For many of them, it feels vulnerable, almost taboo, because it's not something society openly talks about for men. But secretly, deep down, they crave it. They crave the surprise of it. They crave the rush of being touched in a way they didn't expect. They crave the intimacy of having you explore their body the way they've always explored yours. So when you go there, when you take that risk and start playing, you're doing more than giving him physical pleasure. You're sending a message. I want to know all of you. I want to explore every inch of you. I want to make you feel things you've never felt before. And trust me, that message will leave him completely hooked. So how do you do it? Let's start with the first tippy, gentle teasing with lips and tongue. Don't dive in too hard or too fast. Remember, for many men, this is uncharted territory. Start with light kisses on his chest, slowly working your way toward his nipples. Linger just enough to build suspense. Maybe brush your lips against the skin without even touching yet. That anticipation alone will send shivers down his spine. Then, when you finally let your lips graze over his nipple, keep it feather light. Soft kisses, delicate licks, and gentle suction will create a wave of sensation that's completely new to him. He may even squirm, laugh nervously, or gasp because it catches him off guard. That's the beauty of it. It's unexpected. And once he feels how good it is, he'll crave it again and again. Now, here's where your tongue becomes your greatest tool. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Just light flicks, slow circles, or a soft swirl around the nipple can send electricity through his body. The key is to stay playful, unpredictable, and responsive. Listen to his breathing. Feel his chest rise faster. Notice if his hand reaches for you. All of these signs are telling you that he's melting under your touch. The more in tune you are with his reactions, the more powerful your effect becomes. Remember, it's not about a mechanical technique. It's about attunement. When he realizes you're listening to his body without him having to say a word, his trust in you deepens, and his attraction skyrockets. But let's take it up a notch with tip number 2, mixing pressure. Once he's warmed up and clearly enjoying it, you can start experimenting with different levels of pressure. Instead of staying soft the whole time, alternate between gentle teasing and firmer play. Try a light nip with your teeth, just enough to give a little edge of surprise without crossing into discomfort. That contrast between soft and firm is what makes it so thrilling. It's the push and pull of pleasure and intensity. Think about it like music. If every note is the same, it becomes boring. But when you play with rhythm, volume, and pauses, suddenly you've created a masterpiece. That's exactly what you're doing with his nipples. Here's a powerful trick: alternate sides. Don't just focus on one nipple. Switch back and forth, leaving one tingling while you move to the other. This keeps his body guessing and builds anticipation. And if you want to really blow his mind, combine nipple play with something else. Maybe one hand is stroking his thigh, or your body is pressing against his. Maybe you lock eyes with him as you do it, letting him see the playful spark in your expression. That combination of touch and emotional presence will have him completely undone. Here's the deeper truth behind why pressure variation works. It mirrors the rhythm of desire itself. Desire is not a straight line, it's waves of intensity, moments of build up, release, and teasing. When you mirror that with your mouth, your tongue, your hands, you're not just stimulating his nipples, you're stimulating his desire cycle. You're pulling him into the dance of seduction. You're teaching his body to respond to you in ways he never has before, and that's what makes this unforgettable. He won't just remember that you touched his chest. He'll remember the way you took him on a journey, the way you played him like an instrument, the way you made him feel both powerful and vulnerable in your hands. That's intimacy on another level. Now imagine the effect this has long term. Every time he looks at you, he'll remember not just that you made him feel good, but that you made him feel explored, understood, and wanted in ways no one else has. That's the secret to being unforgettable, not just giving pleasure, giving the kind of pleasure that carries meaning. When you touch him in places he never expected, you awaken not just his body, but his emotions. You show him you're not afraid to claim every part of him. And once he feels that, once he knows you are the woman who isn't afraid to go there, he'll never look at anyone else the same way again. Now let's go deeper, because the real magic happens when you introduce surprise and timing. See, the human body thrives on novelty. If he can predict every move you're going to make, then the excitement starts to fade. But if you keep him guessing, if you keep changing things up just when he thinks he knows what's coming, his brain releases a surge of dopamine, the chemical of excitement and addiction. That's exactly what you want. You want him addicted to the way you touch him, addicted to the way you play with him, addicted to you. And one of the best ways to do this is with nipple play that's unpredictable. Instead of focusing there the whole time, tease him with it, then pull away. Maybe you're kissing his chest, lingering just near his nipple, and he's holding his breath, waiting for you to touch it, and then you slide your lips away to another part of his body. The build-up, the anticipation, the waiting, it makes the eventual touch feel 10 times more intense. That's the power of timing. Think about how powerful it is when you give him just a taste of something, then take it away. Imagine you're kissing and licking around his chest, brushing lightly over his nipple, then pulling back, running your fingers elsewhere, letting him squirm with anticipation. He doesn't even realize it, but you're training his body to crave more, to crave you. And when you finally give him what he's waiting for, when you go back and focus directly on his nipple, it feels explosive because you didn't rush, you made him wait. You built suspense. You created a sense of hunger in him. That hunger is what makes the experience unforgettable. It's not just about the touch. It's about the moment you decide to give it. Timing is everything. Now, here's a secret trick. Pair nipple play with silence. Imagine you've been teasing him, kissing him, moaning softly, and then suddenly you go quiet. Your lips hover near his chest. Your breath is warm on his skin, but you don't touch. That silence drives him wild because it creates suspense. It makes his imagination fill in the gap. Is she going to bite me? Is she going to lick? Is she going to kiss me there? That uncertainty is intoxicating. It takes his arousal to levels he didn't even know he had. And all of this comes from timing. You see, roughness and intensity have their place, but sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is hold back. That contrast between touch and pause, between presence and absence, can make him lose control. And once he's felt that, he won't just crave your touch. He'll crave the way you orchestrate his pleasure like no one else ever has, which brings us to the next level, combining nipple play with eye contact and your voice. You see, physical pleasure is powerful, but when you layer it with emotional intimacy, you take it from fun to unforgettable. Men are visual creatures. They're aroused by what they see. So imagine this, you're teasing his nipple with your tongue, then you pause, look up at him, lock eyes with him, and give him that sly, knowing smile. That one look can send a shockwave through his body because it tells him you know exactly what you're doing to him. You're in control. You're making him lose control, and he can't look away. That's not just physical stimulation, that's psychological domination in the sexiest, most playful way. And your voice, don't underestimate it. A soft moan, a whisper of his name, or even a playful comment like, "You like that, don't you?" These things amplify his arousal. It's not just about the sound itself. It's about the affirmation it gives him. When he hears your voice while you're touching him, he knows he's pleasing you. He knows you're enjoying this, and that reassurance makes him open up even more. Men may not admit it, but they crave feedback. They want to know they're turning you on. So when you let your moans, Your whispers, your breathy words spill out while you're playing with his nipples. It tells him he's giving you the same excitement you're giving him. That creates a feedback loop of pleasure that keeps spiraling higher and higher. Let me paint the picture. You're straddling him, your lips hovering near his chest, your tongue flicking over his nipple as your eyes meet his. You pause, you smile, you let a soft laugh escape because you know you've got him completely under your spell. Then you whisper something teasing, something like, "I love watching you squirm." At that moment, he's not just physically aroused, he's emotionally captured. You've made him feel vulnerable, teased, excited, and deeply connected all at once. That's why eye contact and voice are so powerful. They turn what could have been a mechanical act into an intimate dance of emotions and sensations. Here's something women often underestimate men long to be seen, not just physically, but emotionally. When you look at him while you're exploring his body, it tells him, "I see you. I'm not just touching you for my pleasure. I'm fully present with you." That presence is intoxicating. It makes him feel chosen. And when you layer that with playful teasing, with moans, with a few bold words, you make him feel like he's in a movie scene he never wants to end. He'll remember not just the touch, but the way you looked at him, the way you spoke to him, the way you made him feel like the center of your universe in that moment. And do you see what's happening here? You're turning something as simple as nipple play into a whole body, whole heart experience. It's no longer about whether or not he enjoys it. It's about how deeply he associates that experience with you. Every time he thinks about his nipples being touched, he won't just remember the physical sensation. He'll remember your lips, your eyes, your voice. He'll remember the confidence in your smile, the playfulness in your tone, the way you made him feel seen, desired, and worshipped in a way no one else ever has. And that's the real secret, not just giving pleasure, but tying that pleasure to your presence, your personality, your essence. That's how you make yourself unforgettable. So the question isn't whether or not you should play with his nipples. The real question is, how far are you willing to go to take control of his pleasure? How willing are you to explore, to experiment, to tease, to look him in the eye and say, "I'm not afraid to touch you everywhere"? Because that's the kind of boldness that separates an ordinary experience from an extraordinary one. And that's exactly the kind of boldness that keeps a man coming back for more again and again. Now we reach the final piece of the puzzle, making nipple play part of a bigger seduction ritual. Because here's the truth, if you only focus on his nipples in isolation, it might feel nice, but it won't reach its full potential. The real magic happens when you weave it seamlessly into an experience that touches his whole body, his mind, and his emotions. Men don't want one-dimensional pleasure. They want an adventure, a ride, a roller coaster of sensations that leave them feeling completely undone. That's where you come in, not as someone who just gives him a little thrill, but as the woman who choreographs an entire experience he'll never forget. Think of his nipples as a secret ingredient in a recipe. On their own, they might be overlooked, maybe even ignored, but when you mix them with other flavors, his neck, his ears, his thighs, his lower stomach, you suddenly have a feast of sensation. So don't just stay in one place, tease him. Use his nipples as a surprise stop on a journey across his body. Maybe you start by kissing his neck, nibbling his ear, then dragging your tongue down his chest until you arrive at his nipple, linger there just long enough to make him moan, and then move lower, leaving him desperate for more. That's how you make nipple play unforgettable, by embedding it into a bigger seduction story that keeps building and building until he can't take it anymore. And here's another key: don't just think about your mouth or your hands, use your whole body. Imagine lying across his chest, your breasts brushing against him while your tongue teases his nipple, or straddle him, pressing your body into his while you lean down to flick your tongue across him. The weight of your body, the warmth of your skin, the rhythm of your hips, it all adds layers to the experience. Suddenly, it's not just nipple play, it's a symphony of sensations that overwhelm him, body and soul. That's when he loses control. That's when he feels like he can't breathe without you. And while you're doing all of this, don't forget to anchor it emotionally. Men may not always admit it, but they crave intimacy as much as women do. When you kiss his chest, when you take his nipples into your mouth, when you look up into his eyes while doing it, you're not just giving him physical pleasure. You're sending a message: I want all of you. I'm not afraid to explore every part of you. I desire you fully. Do you realize how powerful that is for a man? To feel that every inch of him is wanted, to feel like he doesn't have to hide or be ashamed, that you actually crave touching him in ways he never expected. That vulnerability is addictive. That's what bonds him to you beyond just sex. Here's the beauty of this. When you create these rituals, you're not just giving him pleasure, you're creating memories. Think about it. Years from now, long after the specific moments have passed, he'll remember the way you made him feel. He'll remember lying there helpless under your touch, moaning as you teased his nipples, overwhelmed by the confidence in your eyes and the playfulness in your smile. He'll compare every woman who comes after you to that feeling, and no one will measure up because no one else was bold enough, creative enough, connected enough to play with him the way you did. That's the power you hold when you turn a small act into a full body, full soul ritual. So let's bring this all together. Playing with his nipples isn't about some mechanical trick or checklist. It's about creating an experience where he feels desired, vulnerable, and completely out of control in the best way. It's about knowing when to be soft and when to be firm. It's about teasing with timing, surprising him with variety, locking eyes with him so he knows you're fully present, whispering into his ear so he hears your desire, and weaving it all into a bigger dance that makes him feel worshipped and wanted. This isn't about just turning him on. It's about making him feel alive in your presence. And that, more than anything, is what keeps a man chasing you, craving you, addicted to you. Now, let me leave you with this thought. Every man has a part of himself he wishes a woman would explore, but he's too afraid to ask for it. His nipples are one of those spots. They're overlooked, underestimated, and often left untouched. But when you're the woman who boldly goes there, who plays with him in ways others never dared, you instantly stand out. You're no longer just another partner. You're unforgettable. You're the one who showed him something new, something exciting, something that made him feel seen in a way he didn't even know he wanted. And that's why this matters, because in intimacy, it's not about being perfect. It's about being present, playful, and courageous enough to explore. So my challenge to you is this: the next time you're with him, don't ignore his chest. Don't skip past it like it doesn't matter. Slow down, linger. Kiss, tease. Look him in the eye and let him know you're not afraid to touch him everywhere. Watch how his body reacts. Watch how his breath catches. Watch how his eyes light up with both shock and desire. In that moment, you'll see the truth. You've just unlocked a part of him that he secretly craved all along. And you did it not because you followed a rule book, but because you had the confidence to explore. That confidence is what makes you irresistible. That confidence is what makes him lose control. And if you've made it this far, you already know the power you hold. You already know that intimacy isn't about doing everything right. It's about being fearless enough to try. So I want you to take these tips and not just listen to them, live them, try them, play with them, make them yours. Because once you do, you'll never again wonder how to stand out in a man's mind. You'll already be unforgettable. And trust me, he'll never, ever forget the woman who wasn't afraid to play with his nipples and make him go crazy in ways he didn't even know he wanted. So if you love this, make sure you subscribe, because this is just the beginning. We're going to go even deeper into the hidden secrets of male pleasure, intimacy psychology, and exactly how to unlock the kind of connection most people only dream about. Share this with a friend who deserves to know the truth. And leave a comment below telling me which of these tips you're most excited to try, because I promise once you start exploring fearlessly, you'll never go back. Remember, your boldness is your superpower. Use it, own it, and watch how he craves you for it forever.